Cycling for me has never been about the bikes. They've only ever been the prerequisite tool. I do not see just a bike race, I see riders on heroic journeys and warriors doing battle. At one point, cycling was the most popular sport in Europe because newspapers told magnificent tales about epic races and crafted the great champions into legends. But with the advent of television, cycling lost some of its mystique, and that golden age of journalism and narration has perished. So now let us try to return some romance to the beautiful sport. Let us praise and give glory to phenomenal performances to be remembered for decades to come. Let us dwell on the moments that inspire and move us. Let us chronicle the rise and fall of heroes. Let us chart these life-changing journeys, these cycling odysseys. All right, welcome back to another episode of Cycling Odysseys. I'm your host, Patrick Santino. So today, we move into the next phase of the season. The early season is fully behind. We're on to the heart of November. Let's say that. Heart of November. It was a good couple of races, and then into early December. Well, that's the title sequence that happens here. So, yeah, with that, let's jump in. Let's just jump straight into it. This one was actually shorter than I expected, but then it's like, all right, well, whatever. Usually everything's longer than I expected, so it's nice to have a shorter one every once in a while. So with that, let's jump in. Cross Ketchup Part 3, a mighty ace hijacks the season. In late November, Eli Iserbyt of Paulshausen-Bingel continued his Rider of the Season performance, winning at the Ardennes Cross, on the hilly sand dunes of Koksijde, and on the wet and slippery muddy Biançon World Cup course. Aerts of the Belloise Trek Lions also notched a win on the wet and muddy urban cross circuit that took place in Kortrijk, a hub for any seeking out the famous Flandrian cobbled climbs. But despite Iserbyt's and Aerts' exploits in late November, all cross fans had turned their gazes to early December. For that was when Wout Van Aert of the Jumbo-Visma Wasps and Tom Pidcock of the Ineos Grenadiers were set to make their season debuts. Van Aert and Pidcock, along with Mathieu van der Poel of Alpecin-Phoenix, had very full road seasons that started all the way back in February and early March, right on the heels of the last cyclocross season, and had run all the way to the rescheduled autumnal Paris-Roubaix. For Pidcock and van der Poel, they had not even only been racing on the road. Both had kept a focus on the mountain bike with a chance for Tokyo Olympic gold. In that Olympic mountain bike race, Tom Pidcock rode to unexpected dominant victory, while Mathieu van der Poel heartbreakingly crashed in the first few minutes in the bizarrest of circumstances. All three rode late into the road season to ride the Flandrian Worlds and a very muddy Roubaix that surely whetted their cyclocross appetites, all three's first love at heart. Thus, all needed some sort of dip or rest to their seasons. Van der Poel most of all, for still he was recovering from the mountain biking crash. But at boom, Wout Van Aert and Tom Pidcock, the Grenadier, were ready to set out on another cyclocross campaign that would consist of a dozen or so races. How long would it take them to find their form and groove compared to the others who had been in the heat of battle for 2 months already? The answers varied between Van Aert and Pidcock. The boom course was apocalyptically muddy. It was a runner's day. Pidcock struggled to stay upright like everyone else in the race, and he ended up finishing mid-pack of the favorites in the lower top 10. Meanwhile, Wout Van Aert, the mighty ace, won by 2 country miles, crushing all opposition by almost 2 minutes, despite some spills himself as well. And to everyone else's dismay, Wout would only get stronger from there. He won easily in muddy Essen the next week. To confess the truth, I fell asleep watching this race. It was such a cakewalk, or mud run. But that very night, Wout flew down to the Trentino region of Italy for the novel Val di Sole Ski Resort Cross. It was cyclocross's showcase for a Winter Olympic bid at glory. The snowy course was technical, but the riders made it look easy in most spots. Iserbyt and Pidcock rose to the challenge, but once again, despite being the only favorite to race yesterday in Essen, Wout Van Aert, the mighty ace, was in a league of his own this day as he stormed to victory again. Yes, these were the storylines as the season headed into the Christmas period. Iserbyt, Aerts, and the other full-season crossers were quickly becoming chopped liver compared to the versatile stars of cycling who really can do it all. Already, Pidcock was finding his groove, but even more so, 3-0 Wout Van Aert, the mighty ace, did not even look like he could be stopped, save by Mathieu van der Poel, the other mighty ace who had yet to make his season debut. Van der Poel's debut was to be the next week as the Christmas period opened up, but he delayed it another week because of a crash at a team camp in Mallorca. All three planned fairly full schedules for the Christmas period, but only 2 of the 3 were committed to full January calendars that ran all the way to the World Championships in Fayetteville, Arkansas. The one who had yet to commit was Wout Van Aert, the mighty ace. But now, at a dominant 3-0, oh surely a trip to the United States and a 4th cyclocross world title was looking much more attractive. Oh surely it was something he would not pass up. Alright, so I really started to shaft Iserbyt and Aerts at the beginning of this one. Sorry, but that is how the season went. I don't know what else to say. Arden Bean Cross. I barely remember that one. I barely remember it, but looks like I have it down as an average race. Coxeye I have as a pretty damn good race. Iserbyt won that as well. The Urban Cross one, that one was bad. Aerts won that, but like that wasn't a race. I didn't like that one. I think that's one I fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie. And the Beyonce one. That one was sweet. That one was really cool. That was a great race. Iserbyt. Oh my gosh, there was that one hill that was so muddy, and he was. I can't even fully remember exactly what happened, but like he was laying. He slipped so bad he was laying and then slid down the mud. Slid down the muddy hill on his belly. I mean, it was nuts. And he had a comfortable lead. After that, it was not a comfortable lead, and he had to win it. And then after that, that's when Van Aert and Pidcock made their debuts at Boom, and that probably took the muddiest course of the year. And that one was, I mean, that was insane. Like, because that course is like decently hilly. And it wasn't just downhills. I mean, it was downhills with it didn't even have to be a sharp turn that day. I mean, if it was just a gentle turn, they could not do it. Everybody crashed. It was a matter of how many times you crashed. And Wout, I think, was maybe the lowest with 2. I mean, there's no way anybody could have stayed upright. Tom Pidcock crashed probably like 8 times. But anyways, that was... Well, it wasn't a really good race, but it was fun to see Van Aert just come out, stomping them, meaning business, taking care of the cyclocross season. He was going to be the rider of the season instead of Van der Poel for a change. Is how I kind of read it. And then there was supposed to be a race the next day, but it got canceled. So then the next week, nobody went to Essen except 2 of the under 20, the younger guys that are like just up and coming, like Pimron or whatever. And then I can't remember the other one. But anyways, Wout beat them both. And that was when I also fell asleep, as I said. And then I didn't even think Wout was going to go to the Val di Sole, but the Italian one. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a little out of place to see these people on cyclocross bikes biking through the snow like that. Like, fat tires would be more appropriate. But this is what you got to do for the Winter Olympics, and cyclocross should easily be in the Winter Olympics compared to some of the crap that's in, well, especially the Summer Olympics, like mountain climbing or rock climbing, whatever it was, and the skateboarding in the Summer Olympics that's won by teenagers. That's ridiculous. I mean, cyclocross deserves to be there, and yeah. And then also the 2026 Winter Olympics, I guess I looked, they're in like the Milan, and I assume that's, Italian Alps region. I mean, like pretty far out is where you could go with that. So maybe this would be the course, because I mean, it was in Trentino. It wasn't terribly too far from Milan. So maybe this would be the course. Anyways, that was a cool course. It just looked kind of out of place when they were riding the bikes. And then, of course, they made it look easy, even though it wasn't. Except there was a couple sections where, okay, yeah, that was hard. And so that was good to see, too. But yeah, that just didn't really look like the place to be riding a cyclocross bike. But Wout won. He's one of my favorite guys. He's a member of the club, as we said, the club. I'm probably going to have to do an episode, maybe not profiles of him, but just trying to explain the club better. Maybe that should be something I do after cyclocross ends and as the early road season's ramping up. Maybe we'll think about it. Spoiler, the women's Val di Sole was even better. Wout's win was pretty convincing, and then it was a fun course even though it was out of place, but the women's was, damn, that was good. And then after that, the week before Christmas, you guys start saying, all right, we've entered the Christmas period. That's where we're going to pick up with the next episode. Thanks for listening, everybody. Subscribe to the show on YouTube. Subscribe on all the podcast stuff. Really need all the views I can get, obviously. And, yeah, plus, I think these things, I think ideally, well, not ideally, but you could possibly listen to them in a linear fashion, and it could serve as a bloated story of the whole season, chapter by chapter, you know. But I mean, and it would only be bloated because the cycling season is extremely bloated. So the calendar, you know, as I go into in other episodes and stuff. So with that, yeah, follow me on Twitter, Cycling Odysseys. Send me an email, cyclingodysseys@gmail.com. Leave 5-star reviews, leave comments, and if the review's any good, I'll read it out. And then, yeah, thanks for listening, everybody. Vive la cyclisme.